So the mic's on. Yes, it is. What's going on, investors? That's here from Investments. Been a long time since we've done a live stream, so basically I want to start doing a little more of these while I start to look at the charts, because it doesn't make sense to do it here in silence when I could be live streaming at the time, and I've been struggling to make content because a lot of these fundamental videos take a very long time to make, and there's a lot of research that goes into it, there's a script that goes into it, and there's just a lot of work that goes into it. So it's not as easy to churn out as a live stream would be. So let's start talking about some cryptos. So before we begin, we want to do a special thanks to the Patreon supporters. We actually got a new one. So special thanks to these 3 people here who are my Patreon supporters. So I appreciate that. And don't forget, if you're a Patreon supporter, to join up on the Discord. Link is in the chat right now, and it's also in the description. And it's a growing community over here, so feel free to join up. We got a couple of good guys. I know a lot of people feeling a little under the weather with the market conditions, but it'll pick up shortly. So hop on there, talk some crypto, talk some trades, talk some fundamentals, whatever you feel like. I do want to start this stream off talking about long-term on Bitcoin, and you can see we're looking at the 4-hour chart, but this goes all the way back to November when we started this run. And what I wanted to show here was this purple support line, and you can see it's got 1, 2, and now 3 touches on this purple support line. And you can see every time it's touched here, it's pretty much had a significant breakout. And what we're seeing right now on Bitcoin is that we have a nice little triple bottom forming in on over the past week. So that really massive dip down, which, you know, is about the same as this one. We've seen it a couple times where it dips like that very quickly. And I think it happens with a lot of the margin traders get liquidated. You know, it just waterfalls, and things happen consecutively that just compound on it. So, you know, people start getting their positions closed, right? And then some people that don't have stop losses get liquidated, and it just keeps going down and down. And then people that are panicking because there's a lot of new money in here are also selling at this point. So dips like this are very common in bull runs. So nothing to worry about, and to be honest, I haven't even lost any sleep about it. I lost quite a bit of money, paper wealth, of course, because I didn't sell, and I ain't worried about it. So just want to throw that out there, not to be worried about this, but we are starting to form some strength here. So we're seeing a nice triple bottom forming up, and this coincides with this previous resistance line becoming support. And this was after the breakout, actually. So it broke out back in, let me delete this so I can see, February 17th, around then. And this previous resistance is now showing to be support. That wick down closed below it, but I wouldn't really count that. So showing some decent strength. And then on the MACD, what was I looking at before? We're on the 1 hour. we're on the 1 hour, and we were showing some hidden bullish divergence here. So equal lows and lower low on the MACD. So a hidden bullish divergence forming on Bitcoin right now. So it's a good little show of strength. And we've kind of been stuck in this channel here. And to be honest, I'm not committed to this top line being anything, but we are kind of trading within this channel. But I am pretty committed to this purple line being support. So nice to see it's touched it and continued above there. The problem with this wick down is it pretty much blew every chart up, and there's not much you can get for TA on many of these because your charts are all messed up. So yeah, we're seeing a triple bottom form now, but everything else just looks like a big trail down, and you know, there's not much you can do for TA off of that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a couple coins versus their US dollar value, and then I want to also look at their versus BTC value. And the reason for that is because they're painting two entirely different charts. And one of the things we've been talking about in my videos is that these charts, these cryptos versus BTC charts, are showing like they are prime to be popping off. So we're going to take a look at some of those. So we covered Bitcoin. I do want to go to Dogecoin right away because that is obviously the hot ticket item. And I'm sure I'll probably cover it a couple times throughout this video as people pop in and request it. But if you have coins you want to request or you want me to look at that I'm not looking at, feel free to leave them in the chat and I'll take a look at it and let you know my thoughts, I guess. Why exactly is that happening? Okay. So, getting the live stream operational. It's been a minute. So here we go. I don't know why my chat's not showing up in the right. Let's see if we can get this. Let me test this out. Test. Okay. All right, we got someone here. Hey, Rodriguez, what up? Thank you. Of course, man. Trying to hop into the content again for crypto. I want to get some live streams going. XLM, of course, that is on the list, and I'm going to for sure take a look at that next. One of the ones I've been trading in, and we've actually picked it up at about 25 to 30-ish cents, and we've been sitting in that trade pretty consistently. There's been no reason to sell out of it because we know that this bull market's going to take it much higher than it is right now. But we'll take a look at that right after. So Dogecoin had this nice little wedge formation and it just broke out of there. And that was in April 15th. And since then, we've obviously had the pullback and the somehow got strength coming out of there. I don't know where the hell this strength came from over the past couple days, but it's showing its head. And I marked a couple important previous resistance becoming support lines. So this previous resistance here has become support at about this point, dropped below it, but then it's retested here and it was just a wick down and it closed above there. So then this wick up here was a previous resistance point as well, and you can see once it pumped above there it kind of fell back down below for quite a bit, but it started to retest it around this area and show strength, showed that it was now support. And again, you had a little wick below there, but it's pretty much holding right there. So what I want to see is I want to see both of these hold as support. I'm not as committed to this one. If it falls below here, that's all right. Seeing it fall below here would make me much more cautious. And seeing it fall to anywhere down in this range between 22 cents to 19 cents would make me even more cautious. I gotta be honest, I can't believe Dogecoin is this high already. It's kind of shocking. So to see it have strength at this level makes me think that there is some institutional buying, or maybe it's just so many people are hyping it up that there's demand for it. My conspiracy theory, I'll put the tinfoil hat on for that, is that Elon's trying to buy Dogecoin. He hypes it up for a long time. He's talked about it for a long time. Maybe it's time Elon's getting into Dogecoin. All right, but before we move on, I want to do Doge versus BTC. Like I said, I wanted to look at all these charts before we move on. So one day, so look at this. We are even past all-time high versus BTC chart. And that is pretty astonishing because I don't think we're going to see this on many other charts. You know, I think a lot of them are down in this area where you just had your first breakout versus BTC. Definitely not up here. So keep this in your memory, what this chart looks like, because we are way past all-time high versus Bitcoin. All right, let's go to XLM. So you can see we've been watching this pretty closely here. And we are XLM versus USD. And we got in somewhere around here, I think off of this breakout. So maybe 18, or maybe it was this one, or 28 cents. One of those two breakouts we caught. And we were seeing these wedges form pretty smoothly, and we were catching these breakouts on each one of them. So one of the most obvious continuation pattern in crypto is you're going to see these wedges all over. You're going to see it in XRP constantly. And in 2017, actually, that's all I did for trading, was I was just looking for these continuation patterns, and I was putting more money on. Saw a continuation pattern, put more money on. And then eventually I stopped seeing them, so I started taking my money out. And we actually profited quite a bit in 2017. And it was specifically on XRP, which we were seeing those continuation patterns, but they show up all over. And there's other continuation patterns besides these wedges. There's cup and handles, there's all sorts of stuff. So continuation patterns are great to watch. So with this XLM, we saw the nice breakout in March where we had a good breakout of this wedge and then a nice back test of it. And you always love to see a back test of that breakout because it confirms that that previous resistance of the wedge, this previous resistance line, is now becoming support. So this was very nice to see. And we had a nice breakout. And had Bitcoin not messed up everyone's day, this wouldn't probably exist, at least not to this extreme. I would imagine we could have stayed above this previous resistance becoming support. But we have a couple lines in the sand that we have drawn. So obviously we don't want to come down to this previous resistance of 38. I'm going to get off this daily chart because I think I have it drawn for the hourly. Yeah, so all right, I had a couple lines here. One of the things that was concerning me with this was that it potentially looked like a head and shoulders with a scuffed up right shoulder here with a nice breakdown below it. However, we are seeing an inverse head and shoulders right here. So this is starting to show strength, which is pretty much, I mean, that's the title of the video. We're starting to see strength on these cryptos. So it's nice to see. Looks like our MACD is a little lower with a higher low. So higher low, lower low. That's a hidden bullish divergence. It's very minor though. So we're starting to see it hold strength, which is good. You know, after that huge dip, you just want to see it show strength. From there, it can build and stage higher. But it's a good starting point. So with this one, I don't want to see it retest that 38 because you're going to backtrack all the way from this breakout. So this breakout, you don't want to see it backtrack all the way down to here. 40 cents would probably be a very reasonable pullback, but that'd be pretty extreme. So I think we are going to start seeing this gain strength. And very realistically, 57 cents is our next step. And we'll probably see that within the next week or two. depending on what Bitcoin does. And I think it's going to break above there, back test, and then break higher. And what I'm trying to get at with the Bitcoin ruining all my charts is there's not much you can really go off of. There's no more wedges on anything because Bitcoin dumped everything. So you have no real way to chart a lot of this stuff. So what we're doing is we're just looking to see if we can spot any strength. And you can see this is ascending. So we got a minor support line here, and you got a hidden bullish divergence on the MACD. Anything on RSI? We are still below RSI, but we just had a cross. And is that a cross in the right direction? It is not yet. So still waiting on that. But it's showing strength. So now that we looked at the XLM versus USD, XLM is the same thing as STR, just goes by a different name on Poloniex, and I'm going to Poloniex specifically because it has the most data. And here's what I was talking about with these Bitcoin charts are looking much different than the US dollar charts. So it's painting a much different picture. And if we are to see what happened in Dogecoin happen here, look at the room we got to go. Let's get a daily price and range. 580%. That sounds a little unrealistic. Probably wouldn't hit that all-time high, but somehow Doge blew past it and continued up. So what we do see here is, let's draw our horizontal lines. I'm going to take this RSI off real quick so we can see clearer. All-time low right here. And the break above there right here. And I'm just drawing horizontal lines on important resistance or support levels. So you can see after this big crash, it pulled all the way back down to here. And why this is important is because look at what just happened in January on this crash. Pulled back to the same level. So then we got, where is this? I mean, there you could draw this a couple places. I'm seeing right here, this is resistance, becomes support a couple places. Resistance here. Resistance, but it kind of broke down. Resistance, resistance, and resistance again. So we're playing in this level right now. What I would like to see is we got a 1, 2, 3 right here. Let's draw this out. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And it's higher. So we're starting to see strength on this chart as well. Let me just delete these again for us real quick. Just wanted to show you that. Theta will rule the world. That is a fact, actually. And we'll look at Theta for sure. Because Theta is one of the coins that I've held for a long time just due to the fundamentals. So I am in Theta for the long haul. You know, I do want to play a little bit with it because I think you can still pick up some at, you know, important spots. But I'm definitely not ditching any of my bag. It'd just be adding to my positions and then potentially selling some of that add-on at a profit. Definitely not selling any because I like the bags that I have. But I believe in it long term, so I want to pick up more so I have more of a bag that I can sell because I don't want to sell any of mine. I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to crypto sometimes. So we're not seeing anything on the RSIs because this is pretty much level, but we are starting to see strength. So this is a good indicator, especially to see it on the Bitcoin chart. And this is what we were looking at. We were looking to see what these were looking like versus Bitcoin, because if you remember, we'll do Dogecoin real quick. DogeBTC. And if you were here in the beginning, I will show you this. And I'm going to leave this up for example. Let's do a weekly all-time high. So this is versus Bitcoin. And take this for example, Stellar, how low we are compared to all-time highs versus Bitcoin. Now look at Dogecoin. There's the previous all-time high, and we are way past that. So it's possible that some of these altcoins are going to start to run compared to Bitcoin. I'd like to see it. I think it's happened a couple times in the past. If you watch a couple of my previous videos, I explain how it happened in Ripple a couple times. Theta. Let's take a look at Theta. So what we were saying is we had nice ascending wedges here. 1, 2, 3. Each one of these had a nice little breakout above there. And here is where Bitcoin is going to show its ugly head again because it screwed up our breakout. So we had this nice ascending wedge and we saw a break above there. And it even had a nice little back test right there, which I said I really like, you know. If you see a break above those wedges with a back test, usually great move, great indicator it's going to continue higher. And it started to, but then it coincided with that Bitcoin drop down and it kind of messed up the chart. So what we were doing is we were taking a measured move here. From this breakout, we, superimposed it over here. So we just copy and pasted it to see what potentially we could see for a next high. Because this one brought us from $7.45 to about $15. We were saying this one's going to bring us from about $12.50 to about $20.50. So very realistically, we could see $20 on the next breakout. Problem being, this chart got messed up. So there's not really much you can do for charting, unfortunately. Not much showing up right here. Except for no, not even. So not much you can do with that. But I do want to look at the ThetaBTC chart on Binance, Funduasa Seifu, and let's go all time. Okay. So this is looking more like Dogecoin, where we're way above all-time highs, which is to be expected because there's not as much history. It only goes back to 2018. 2018 right here had a pretty massive pump, and this was a relatively new coin in 2018. So to be expected, I guess. Let's see if we can see anything showing up on this chart here. 12 hour. Let's get out of the 12 hour. Let's go to the 4 hour or 1 hour. And again, we had that nice, we had that nice wedge forming. A little dirtier on this chart, but that Bitcoin tank just really messed it up. On the Bitcoin chart, we're currently above it, which is good. On the US dollar chart, we're below it. And what are we looking at for? And even looking at my support and resistance, we're so far above the previous resistance levels that it's hard to really mark any of them. Here was one, but it's so minor. This happened over a couple hours, so it's not very strong, but you can see it's still held a couple times, you know, and each time it broke below there, it regained that almost immediately. So this is showing strength at this level here. Let's see what that looks like at the US dollar. Just out of curiosity. That is around $10.31. And it paints a different picture on the US dollar chart, but showing strength there. That's good. And this is what we're looking for. We're looking for all these cryptos to show strength. So let me know if there's any you want me to look at. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of go through the list really quick. We were looking at ICX because it was so low compared to all-time highs. Again, Bitcoin threw off the chart. We had a nice wedge form and a nice breakout, but it's pretty much given up all of it. All of its gains are pretty much gone. And that's pretty consistent with what you're seeing throughout a lot of these smaller coins. Is they're not in losses if you caught them at good times. They are just giving up all their gains recently. So not terrible if you're in a long-term position. Previous resistance here is now holding a support on a 12-hour. Let's go to a 1 hour. And it's holding pretty strong. So you can even drop it down right here. Previous resistance, previous resistance, previous resistance, barely previous resistance. Now holding that support. And you do have an inverse head and shoulders showing up. You would like to see a break up to this yellow line, confirming the right shoulder here, and then you could potentially see a nice breakout to the upside. So that's ICX versus USD. Let's see ICX versus BTC, and we'll go Bittrex because it's probably got the most history, and Theta will rule the world, of course. And not a great chart. We only go back to 2020. Let's see if we can get one. I don't do any charts on HitBTC because it is bullshit. Okay, this one's got a little more history. And take a look at this. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. So, again, I keep pulling this chart up, but Doge versus Bitcoin, way past all-time high, way past on US dollar chart. ICX, not past all-time high on US dollar chart, not near all-time highs on BTC chart. Sorry, I was stuttering through there. All-time low here, and showing strength off of it. Hit it back in December, hasn't come back since. And we got a nice little support line forming up on here. So let's zoom in, see if we can see any patterns. Obviously this is way too tight. Nothing appearing, but I do like this. I'm liking what it looks like. You know, I'm liking these lower level coins, these ones that haven't pumped as much yet, because we're starting to see people trickle money into these kind of coins, like RDD coin, Red coin pumped like crazy today. You know, Dogecoin pumped like crazy. So we're starting to see these lower price coins and lower market cap coins pump like crazy. Mana is one of the coins that has pretty much outperformed what's happening in the market. So you can see, obviously this is the Bitcoin spike down, but it's almost immediately regained strength. And let's draw a nice little support line here, and it's showing support. So what I'm anticipating is maybe a retest of this support line anywhere in this range here. And I think it's going to continue higher. Mana is one of those that I do believe in fundamentally, just because Decentraland is an actual product already. So it's also a lower dollar coin. It's on Coinbase. So I do anticipate it's going to continue moving. Nothing really happening on that. Okay. I did have fibs on my my Bitcoin chart before, and I did want to show the previous swing low to this swing high, because we saw some 618s show as strength here. So let's do this real quick. So I'm looking at Bitcoin again real quick. And what I was looking at with the 618 is that spike down stopped right at the 618, and it pumped right above that, right back up. And that's pretty typical with Bitcoin, is you see those 618s be very significant levels. A lot of bots are trading those levels. And then on the way down, what do we see? Nothing really, except for that it bounced all the way to the 50%, and now we're so not really seeing much. Okay, so we did on the swing low to swing high. So what were we looking at? Mana. I want to do Mana versus BTC. Let's see, Poloniex has got some history. So this is actually hit an all-time low versus Bitcoin in January and shown strength ever since then. Let's see if this correlates with any important levels here. So not really. Maybe this one, I guess, and maybe this one, previous resistance levels showing support. This one had more touches, but this is looking pretty strong versus Bitcoin. And this is one to watch, is Mana. I'm sitting in it. I know a couple of people in my Discord are also sitting in it, have open trades right now. So one of the few that's actually showed support. All right, BTS versus USD. And like I said before, if you got ones you want me to look at, leave it in the chat, because otherwise I'm just going to go over my standard list of ones that I'm keeping my eye on. It's always good to have coins that, you know, you don't usually look at, because I like to look at some of those. A lot of them, you know, a lot of times you just get stuck in the pattern of looking at the same coins over and over again. Like there's a lot that I have that I don't even have on this list right now that I'm looking at. So if you got one, let me know. BTS, we caught this nice cup and handle, and we had our cup there. I'm not going to take my time to draw this out, but we had our handle right here, and we had a nice pump above there. And what it's done, like it's doing on many of the other ones, is that Bitcoin dump has pretty much taken all those gains away. But it's actually showing a little bit of strength now, because this hasn't pulled back all the way. You have this previous resistance on the way up showing up as support. So it's showing up to the party. It's like, hey man, we're not going below here. So this is good to see. And we are on an 8 hour, so let's go into a 1 hour and just see what we got. Like many of the other ones, we got an inverse head and shoulder showing up. So we would need this shoulder to close to this neckline, and then potentially we could see a nice break to the upside. So this is a pattern that is showing up on a lot of coins right now. How do I do this? This inverse head and shoulder. And let's see. Just for example, how to trade inverse head and shoulder. Now, I highly recommend you just get your hands on some of these trading patterns. Investopedia is a very good resource. Head and shoulders is the opposite, showing a top. You got your left shoulder, your head, which is higher than your left shoulder, and then your right shoulder, which comes down to about the left shoulder, high or lower than your head, and then the bottoms of those is your neckline. And then typically a head and shoulder is a reversal pattern to the downside. So this is going to be a break to the downside. The inverse of that shows a break to the upside. So this is what we're seeing on a lot of altcoins forming right now. So nice little inverse head and shoulder. So you want to see this right shoulder come up to the neckline, and then we'll get a break above there. All right, so XTZ and Algo, my positions were closed out because my stop loss tripped on all these, so I'm not even looking at them at the moment because I'm too upset with it. Just be real honest with you. It's very frustrating when your stops get closed on a beautiful trade. Beautiful trade. You know, this was a textbook cup and handle that formed up. Look at this breakout. Beautiful breakout. Immediately gave it back, but held that breakout level as support, which is okay, and immediately took off to the upside again. And it was going to continue until Bitcoin took a dump on it. And nothing's showing up right now. Very hard to read these charts because Bitcoin just demolished everything. So I do believe this will continue higher. If I didn't get stopped out, I would still be in this trade, absolutely. And I'm looking for a new entry for this. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Let's stop in the Discord, see what's going on. Anything? All right. BAT, we do have an open trade with. We had a nice support line, couple descending wedges here. This one was pretty flat, which I thought was going to continue higher. You know, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 tests of this, and then we saw the 5th one coming, but this happened to coincide with that Bitcoin dump. Way I'm taking this right now is I'm pretending that this is above this support line. It is clearly not, but Bitcoin just really tore into all these charts. Do we have higher high or higher lows? Just barely. So minimal support showing up here. Minimal. This is a trade we've entered off this 3 rising valleys trading pattern here. We had the 1, 2, 3 higher lows and then a breakout above there. So we entered our trade all the way back here. So we're still sitting in this in good profit. Problem is the chart just got really ugly real quick. All right, what else we got? What else? Probably one of the last ones I want to look at was hot. And my chart's really messy here because I'm not exactly sure how to draw this one right now. So I'm waiting to see more data to see how it looks. But let's start with this pink line. We were seeing this, I think we're looking at the 4-hour chart. I don't remember what chart we were looking at, but I'll just go to the 1 hour and explain what I was seeing. So we were seeing this falling wedge forming, right? On the low and on the high. And then we had a nice breakout above there and a back test above there. And we were starting to gain traction until Bitcoin dumped on us, and not really much you can do in that wake. But we do have this previous resistance holding as support at about 1, is that a penny? This is the USD chart. So 1.5 pennies. And we're starting to show a little bit of strength again on this chart. But then we were also looking at the yellow wedge, which could be the same wedge. And we weren't exactly sure which one was going to hold up, if it was going to be the pink one or the yellow one. So it's possible we're still within the yellow wedge, and this was not a breakout, but a false breakout. So there's potential for that. Then I do want to do one more. And then if no one has any shout outs, I'll end on Litecoin here. Because Litecoin was showing massive strength up until this dump. And you had a nice cup and handle again. And I don't have this drawn, but I'll just do it real quickly. Nice cup, nice handle, nice break with a retest, and then an extreme breakout. And then the problem is that Bitcoin crashed, took it down with it. The good thing about this is it's looking very familiar when you look at charts like BTS, is that this cup rim here is showing up as support now. So it's done 2 tests of it, and the third one looks like it's not even going to break down to that level. So you also have a potential for an inverse head and shoulders here. Let me get this out of the way. Where you have the left shoulder, head, potential right shoulder, and a nice little break up here would be bringing us to the neckline, and you potentially see a breakout from there, which really should have been the continuation, but Bitcoin kind of messed up this chart. So that's all I got for today. I appreciate you stopping by. If you're tuning in, if you're hanging out for the whole stream, definitely appreciate that. Don't forget to like, subscribe the video, the channel, and all that good stuff. Join up on the Discord. What else?